So the purpose of the report is really to understand how to best prepare for our customers, not just now, but in the future. And so the Digital Horizons report really looks at what business will be in 2030 and how they will be successful. And it really hits on a few key points. Number one, the ubiquity of artificial intelligence. It will just be there, it will be universal, and ultimately it will be a tool, principally that Gen Alpha, those who are born 2010 and after, will expect as part of the workplace. The second thing is that it's really important that if you're building a business, either now or in the future, that you recognize that in order to attract and have the best possible talent, it's important that you really think about this in terms of employee reskilling.
Oh, so many things to ask you about there as well. As ubiquitous as email, I couldn't agree more. I've always thought that this will be an under-the-hood technology rather than something which is kind of standalone as well. Is there then a question about the profitability that can come from this as well, given the fact every company is going to have the cost of it, but they haven't quite worked out the revenue streams from it just yet?
That's right. I think one of the other findings of the report is that this will really, yield new types of business models. And some of those are not clear at this point in time. The technology in many respects is embryonic. We're not 100% sure what's going to mean, especially when we're looking out to 2030. But what we do know is that the trends are pretty clear, that we do strongly feel that whether it's in terms of growth, whether in terms of operational efficiency, it will really underpin a lot of business operations, and that's why it's so important to prepare for that now, really making sure that organizations think through their strategic plans for employees and ultimately building that path for success.
Yeah, I mean, when you go to looking at what success looks like then in 2030, especially from trying to future-proof your business to the changes that are coming, I mean, are you seeing businesses doing a lot of that, as you point out in this report, and the technological changes that everyone has to try and keep up with as well?
Yeah, so the report was actually interesting. It was almost 90% of the thousands of businesses surveyed. 90% were thinking about how employee reskilling needs to start right now, not deferred, not in the future, right now. So this is very much top of mind. The second thing is, like you, and I'm in this space, and it's almost every day, when something else comes out, and it's really difficult to keep up. But the one constant we should always go back to is the combination of how the technology and our humans, we together, have to really work together to kind of create that more successful future. And that's really what is going to be, I think, the key to this, as businesses kind of chart that path forward.
Yeah, I mean, you have the likes of Eric Schmidt and Bill Gates saying that this is ultimately as big as the internet, if not bigger. The worry could be, does it have the same potential in terms of changing productivity, efficiency, etc.? Is that what... I mean, the likes of Gen Alpha would probably think so, but is that what everyone else would think, perhaps entities and businesses?
So I think it is. Last week, in Hong Kong, we had our Global Investor Summit, and we brought together thought leaders from all over the world, Satya Nadella, Bill Gates, amongst others. And I think one of the key questions that was being asked there is, what is the role of artificial intelligence both now and in the future? What are the risks? Because it also has to be done through the lens of balance. There is risk with this, and we have to be really transparent about both the potential, but also making sure that as we kind of build this future, we're mitigating those risks. So, when you really think about this, while we can understand what that is now, ultimately what we have to do is make sure at the heart of this is an engaged, informed, employee who understands both how to get that potential out of the technology, while creating the best possible environment for the success of the company.